us to see what's unfolding here in Texas. The situation here is certainly outrageous, and I want you to know you've seen the coverage. Men on horseback, literally herding men and women. Thousands of migrants gathered in a Biden-ville under Del Rio Bridge. Children abandoned on the treacherous journey to our country. It's a tragedy, and I can tell you the border situation is just as out of control in the state of Arizona. The border sector in Yuma has had more than a 1,000% increase in apprehensions compared to last year, the highest increase among all sectors. The Tucson sector has seen more than a 200% increase in apprehensions. And it's not just the people that are crossing the border, it's the lethal drugs. Almost 2,000 pounds of fentanyl and over 13,000 pounds of methamphetamine have been seized in Arizona's sectors alone this year. Just think about how many drugs are slipping through the cracks and slipping into the bloodstreams in our communities. This isn't a figure of speech, this is our reality. Fentanyl overdoses have replaced car accidents as the leading cause of death for people 19 and younger in Pima County, one of our border communities. Pima County deputy sheriffs are responding to a call involving fentanyl every 40 hours. By neglecting the border, President Biden has fueled an opioid epidemic in America. The Biden border crisis has also led to a disturbing rise in crime in our streets. Because our border sheriffs have to spread their personnel thin between the border and the rest of their counties, there are far fewer officers patrolling our streets and keeping Arizonans safe. In Yuma, the amount of theft has increased by over 36% compared to the second half of last year. Homicides in Tucson are up almost 60% compared to this time last year. Our law enforcement officers in Arizona are some of the best in the nation, but they can only do so much when hundreds of thousands of migrants are flooding into the country illegally every month. There are three people to blame for making America a more dangerous place: President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, and Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. It's no secret anymore. They have created this crisis, and Americans know it. This year, President Biden took the oath of office to become our country's 46th Commander-in-Chief. Instead of commanding our military, he's commanded drug cartels and other criminals to wreak havoc on the United States. He and Vice President Harris and Secretary Mayorkas have allowed criminals and drugs to run rampant in our streets, and it's time for them to do something about it. I've joined 25 other governors, many who are standing behind me today, in sending a letter to President Biden requesting a meeting now. Either he's unwilling to solve this crisis or he doesn't know how. So we're here to offer solutions. It's been 16 days since we sent the president the letter, and we still haven't heard anything back. We're not going to sit around while Joe Biden refuses to act. The White House press secretary last week told the Republican governors to be a part of the solution. We've tried to meet with the president and be a part of the solution, but he refuses. Even worse, he ignores, just like he's ignoring the border and the well-being of the American people. If the president won't meet with us, then we'll share our policy ideas today. Hopefully he'll hear the solutions and act. The Biden administration should begin by dedicating federal resources needed to eradicate human trafficking and drug trafficking along the southern border. We need additional resources to fight drug cartels, arrest offenders, support victims, and prevent lethal and dangerous drugs from reaching American cities and schools across our country. The Drug Enforcement Administration issued a public safety warning for the first time in 6 years as international and domestic traffickers flood the U.S. with fake prescriptions laced with lethal doses of fentanyl. Americans' lives are at risk. We need this administration to provide adequate resources to stop the flow of these deadly drugs across the border. The border must be secured and criminals must be deported. On top of that, the U.S. should re-enter all agreements with our Northern Triangle partners, including Mexico. Upon taking office, President Biden issued an ill-advised and frankly foolish executive order that terminated agreements with El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Mexico. Those countries had already agreed to enforce their respective borders, fix their asylum systems, and receive migrants seeking asylum before they journey north to the United States upon Joe Biden's open borders invitation. And our final solution is about communication. President Biden, Vice President Harris, and Biden administration officials at every level of government need to speak with a unified and clear voice to potential migrants. Our country's borders are not open, and abuse or misuse of the asylum system will not be tolerated. This isn't hard, or at least it shouldn't be, but we are talking about the Biden administration after all. We can turn things around. We can keep drugs out of our communities and our schools, and we can make our streets safer. We can have an immigration policy that doesn't include men on horseback herding migrants. President Biden, this is up to you. Are you willing to make the changes necessary to keep Americans and these migrants out of harm's way? That's the question you need to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. And next is Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds.
Thank you, Governor. It's a pleasure to be here. You know, over the past 8 months, we have seen illegal immigration just soar, and in fact, it's becoming a migration.